So good afternoon. I know I only have 12 minutes. Okay. Uh, See, in India now, the main discussion in which we are engaged is about non-violent economy, right? Because we believe the present-day economy is very violent, displacing people, forcing farmers to commit suicide, creating global warming and climate change. So this is a very, very violent economy. So how do you turn a very violent economy into a non-violent economy is something that we are debating. Also trying to create examples of non-violent economy like you do positive economy here. We are also trying to suggest to the government of India that they should use a non-violent lens to measure all the economic programs. This is very important. Like we have a general lens to see whether justice is being done to women. Similarly, you need to have a non-violent lens to see whether this initiative, this project is going to create more conflict, more violence, or a peaceful society. So using non-violent lens is something which we are now arguing with the government because we feel that this model of development is creating huge conflict and violence. So a non-violent lens is that we are suggesting. If you remember, Gandhi spoke about means and ends. Gandhi said, means are as important as ends. It is not important that you make a lot of money, but then how do you make the money? What method are you using for making money is also important. Now, in today's economic world, means are no more important that you make money. So 1% of world population can control 50% of wealth, etc. So present model is also not based on ethics and justice. This is one problem, that an economic model without free of ethics and justice. So I think one responsibility we have, or in India that is what we are trying to do, to bring this debate on the table, that can we permit an economic model to continue without caring for ethics and justice? It is not just money making. So ethics and justice need to be brought into debate. You may remember the old say that everything economically correct need not be ethically correct. Ethics are also very important. And that is the reason why I think it is time for us to revisit Gandhi. What did Gandhi say? Back in 1919, he wrote a small book. And he was very critical of the modern development model, even at that point of time. He said what is important is production by masses and not mass production. He was speaking about a model where large companies will produce and dump in the market, and people who don't have money will not be able to buy anything. They are all poor. So rather than encouraging large companies to produce and dump in the market, what is important is to provide everyone an opportunity to participate in a productive process. So that is why Gandhi said what is important is not mass production, but production by masses. The second famous quote from Gandhi is that there is enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. So he was speaking about a need-based development model and not a greed-based development model as it is happening today. And ultimately, he gave a very progressive, very radical idea to the world, which is called the concept of Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya is a Hindi word, and the meaning of Sarvodaya is well-being of all. He said, well-being of minority is not what is needed. Well-being majority is also not what is needed. Well-being of all. So Sarvodaya was the most radical, and he said, and Sarvodaya need to begin from the bottom. Sarvodaya cannot begin from the top. It has to begin from the bottom, the last one first. So considering this worldview of Gandhi about development, I was working with young people for the last many years, trying to organize young people and help them to understand this concept of non-violent economy. On one side, we are helping them to resist the onslaught of the present economy. On the other side, we are helping them to create new models which can be called non-violent economy. We're also helping them to redefine development. See, development is not all about material development, roads and airports and buildings. Development is also internal. How can we create a world where you have all the material development, but people are insensitive, people are hollow? So development need to address not only external realities, development should also address the internal me. So that is one thing young people need to understand. The second thing is to deepen their understanding about non-violence and violence. You know, in this process of creating a very violent economy, we have unknowingly introduced a very violent educational system, very violent media, very violent governance. Everything violent. Because you need violent mechanism all around in order to create a violent economy. We need to spend time to explain that in great detail, because I think the media has become violent, the governance system has become very violent, the educational system has become very violent. So changes cannot happen in the economic arena alone unless we look at it in a holistic way. And that is why we are now in the process of helping young people to say, look, in a globalizing world where economy is becoming so violent, people are getting angry. Anger is something which is common everywhere. So my training is basically helping young people to use anger as a positive tool, because anger is a good emotion. So this anger can be turned into positive action. Like solar energy, like wind energy, anger is an energy. Now, how do we use anger energy positively is one thing in which I spend a lot of my time. And the second thing, I help young people to understand through the training process that fire cannot be dealt with fire. If there is small fire, if you bring more fire, the fire cannot be put down. Fire needs water. So violence cannot be dealt with violence. What is happening today in the world, when there is small violence, we bring huge violence to put it down. Violence against violence is not the method. What is important is to have more people understanding how to use, in a very violent economic system where people are getting angry, how to help people to use non-violence as a very powerful tool to counter this world process, the violent process, is something in which I am putting much of my time, and I think that is very important too. The last part is that I wanted to end this with a small incident from Mahatma Gandhi's life, that one professor came to meet Mahatma Gandhi. And he said, look, Mr. Gandhi, why are you fooling Indians by saying that there is something called non-violent revolution? Because Mahatma Gandhi was saying that non-violently we will get British people out of our country. And he said, no, there is no history. I'm a historian, I'm a teacher of history. There is nothing like non-violent revolution, because the Chinese Revolution is violent, Russian Revolution is violent, and French Revolution is violent. So there is nothing like non-violent revolution. So why are you fooling Indians? Gandhi looked at this professor and said, Mr. Professor, you are teaching history, but I am making history. Right? So this is a time for us to make history. I think this idea of a positive economy in a world where the economy has become very violent is a very welcome idea. And I think in the coming years, we need to work together in order to achieve a non-violent economy that will ultimately create a non-violent world order. Thank you very much.